Hold on, I'm crying, brother. Man, just sad, but I saw it coming from a mile away. I knew Dustin was going to get subbed. I didn't think the fight would go that long. I'm surprised that it entered the 5th round. I'm surprised that it took Islam this long to get a finish. I really thought he'd fold Dustin inside like 2-3 rounds, you know? But props to Dustin Poirier, man. Dustin Poirier really came prepared. He came to fight because he knew this was his final shot. This is his last shot to become the undisputed champion. So it makes sense that he was able to give that kind of effort and performance against a guy like Islam Makhachev. But Islam was just too much, too well-rounded. And Islam just, at the end of the day, was never going to lose that fight to Dustin Poirier. But yeah, this fight, it kind of went how I expected it, apart from how long it went. But, you know, I mean, the one thing that did actually surprise me is Dustin did not jump Gilly once in this fight, which, that's progress from Dustin. And actually, when he's not jumping Gilly, his takedown defense ain't that bad. You know, he was able to stand up to the takedowns of Islam, defend them. And I was getting worried for my pick. I was like, uh-oh, Islam's struggling to get these takedowns. What if Dustin Poirier is able to put hands on Makhachev? But Makhachev, it's just, this reminded me of the Volkanovski first fight in a way, where like Dustin surprised Islam with his strike, his grappling like Volk, but then Islam surprised Dustin with his striking. It's like he outstruck Dustin Poirier in this fight. He outstruck him. Struggled to use his grappling, but that's the thing about Islam. If the grappling isn't working, he can always have the striking to fall back on. And he's got great defense, he's got power, and he was able to bust Dustin Poirier up on the feet. I mean, Dustin was doing his fair share of damage in the stand-up department as well. Do not get me wrong. Dustin was mashing him up as well. But ultimately, I felt Islam was controlling the striking exchanges, the kicking, the boxing exchanges, and then he got the takedowns when he needed to. But it's impressive that he was able to survive with Makhachev on his back in the first round and in the third round and escape out the back door, get back to the feet. That was a crazy fight. That was a crazy fight. I mean, this pay-per-view is not worth paying for, which I only did because of the shitty streams that kept cutting out. And I needed to watch the fights, you know? I feel like I've kind of wasted money. $69, really annoying. Hope I don't go broke. But, you know, yeah, what a great fight. 5-round war. Islam just showed his greatness. Now, a lot of people are critical of this performance of Islam Makhachev, which I could see why. Dustin's 35, arguably the worst he's ever been in his career. Islam should have been able to smoke him, but at the end of the day, he got the job done like he was supposed to. He showed his championship medal. Even when the tough gets going, Makhachev is able to still pull a win from his ass. You know what I mean? He still is able to get it done when it counts. Even if you can challenge him, Islam can still do it. And who knows? This could have been an off night for Makhachev. He was coming in this fight with staph infection. I don't know how much that played a factor. It could have had something to do with it. But, you know, I'm not going to be too hard on Islam with this performance. But what I will say is tonight just shows that Khabib Nurmagomedov is better than Islam. I've been saying this for years. I'm glad I've kind of won the argument in that sense. I mean, yes, Makhachev is the better striker, but Khabib, better chin, better pressure, and better wrestling and control. Like, look at the differences in their performances with Dustin Poirier. It took Islam 5 rounds, and he couldn't hold Dustin down, struggled to get him down. Khabib took Dustin down with like little to no difficulty. So that should tell you something. And I do think that Khabib would have beaten Volkanovski a lot more handily and probably would have been able to submit him the way Islam couldn't. Because, I mean, Islam couldn't submit Dustin from that position, from the back position. So, and Khabib could, so he could probably sub Volk. But yeah, I think Khabib is better than Islam, but Islam gets his 3rd title defense. Wow, I mean, the 5th round Darce choke is insane. This kind of reminds me of the of the Khabib versus Gaethje sub where like Justin tapped but still went to sleep. But that one's different though because the ref took forever to step in. This one, the ref stepped in quickly, but that Darce was tight. That was all she wrote. Very sad though. I felt so sad seeing Dustin's daughter in attendance and crying. That I almost cried watching that, man. And I'm a fan of both Dustin and Islam, so it was bittersweet. I was happy to see Makhachev win, but I was crushed to see Dustin not be able to finish the story and, you know, go out on a loss like that. And I don't know. I feel like Dustin will probably come back and still compete. I feel like he'll be happy with this performance and you know, take another fight. I mean, I won't be surprised if he retires for good, but the fact that he wasn't too quick to make a decision just shows that there's a part of him that still wants to compete. Now, he may never be the undisputed champion, but I just want to say this. This may be Cope, but at least he was the interim champion. It may not be what he wanted, but it's better than nothing. Because could you imagine if the Max Holloway rematch never happened with the interim belt on the line? Could you imagine if Khabib never jumped the fence after beating Conor and then actually went on to fight Max Holloway at UFC 236 or fought Tony or whoever? Dustin Poirier never would have got a crack at any kind of gold. And through Khabib jumping the cage, getting suspended, and getting this interim opportunity, it allowed him to win a belt and add that to his legacy. So I do hope that Dustin can reflect on his career and be happy with that accomplishment, even if it's not the undisputed gold. I know it's sad. At least he did touch gold. It may be interim, and it may be seen as a fake belt, but he was a champ, technically. That's what I will say. But great win for Makhachev. What's next for him? I know he wants to go up and fight for the welterweight belt, which he does deserve it. And I do think at welterweight, I mean, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, he looked beatable tonight, so he won't do good at 170. But we got to give Islam credit for being willing to challenge himself, because Khabib never wanted to go up. Islam has the balls to go up, and I do feel like he'll be better at 170. He'll be a lot more hydrated. He won't be having to cut that much weight. He might be stronger, even more powerful. And I still think he would beat Leon Edwards. I don't care what anyone says. But I do think first he should rematch Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan deserves it. He's the number one contender. He beat Charles Oliveira. He's on a 4-fight win streak, I believe. Honestly, Islam should be the last guy to beat him, because I thought Arman beat Matteo Scamrot. But I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I don't know if the rematch is going to happen, but if it does happen, I'm looking forward to it, because other than Volkanovski, Arman Tsarukyan is the only guy to actually challenge him. It was his first UFC fight, short notice. He was 22. Now Arman Tsarukyan is 27 years old. He's 27? And it's been 5 years since. He's gotten much better. So I can imagine today it's still going to be a tough fight for Islam. And he might be the only guy with the best shot at dethroning Makhachev at 155. But if Islam can get his fourth defense against the toughest stylistic opponent for himself, then yeah, he deserves to go up and fight for that second belt. But I'd rather see him get through Arman first. Let's book that rematch. If he wins, then he can go up and challenge Leon. As for Dustin, if he doesn't retire, I'd say maybe Justin Gaethje trilogy. I don't think they should leave it at 1-1. I think they should do it. They should run it back one more time. Or maybe the winner of Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, or if Conor wins, maybe fight Conor again, just because of how that fight ended. If Chandler wins, I don't know if that rematch is really worth it, but Conor is the money fight. I know Dustin said he doesn't want to, do that again, but money talks. And if there's a fight that would excite Dustin, it would definitely be a fight. It would definitely be a matchup with someone like, someone like Conor McGregor. Maybe he can move up and fight Nick Diaz if Nick Diaz could beat Vicente Luque. But if not, if he's going to retire, Dustin, thank you for a long story career and all the memories you've created, all the exciting fights you've been able to put on for all the fans. You're a legend. I'm a big fan. Keep your head high. And yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.